Yeah. Now, on the screen, you will see the log. Okay. And this is something I already shared with all of you. So I was randomly, I had just thought of 5 skills that I wanted to cover with these students. Okay. Now, both of you are aware about the place I was visiting and the grades I was teaching, but I'll still repeat all of that. So I used to go to SRT, and it is right beside the school. Plus, that school is already managed by our school. So it is not an independent body. It is, all of the management is done by our school. So it was very easy for me to go there and teach because, there were no issues related to hygiene, and the students were very very comfortable with English as a language or as a medium of teaching. But I do realize that if it was some other school, some other RMC school, then definitely there would have been some issues related to hygiene or communication or management administration, all of that. So I used to go to this one school, okay, and over there I used to teach 4 grades, and in every grade we had 20, approximately 20 students. So I used to teach almost 80 students, and I had spent 2 years with them. And in these 2 years, how it began was that, I started going there, and initially I used to cover very very basic things, like if there's a certain teacher who's absent and if they require me to teach something, or let's say there is something related to social studies or math that needs to be covered, I used to do that. But afterwards I realized that this is something that is already covered by subject teachers in that school. So if I am doing it, it's meaningless, and this is not what the students actually require, because their subject teachers are already doing the job. And that is how I thought about doing something that will help them and something that will count as extracurriculars too. So I thought of doing and initiating this entire skill development program. And these 5 skills were not chosen out of very very careful effort, I would say. It was not very calculated. I just went on doing this, and as and when I progressed, I understood what was required, and that is how I decided those 5 skills. So, to name them, they were communication, teamwork, public speaking, then it was imagination and creativity, and the last one was entrepreneurship and DIY. All of these skills. And for each grade level, I was teaching grades 3, 4, 5, 6. So, for each of them, I used to cover all 5 skills using different activities. Now, let's say a fifth grader might be able to write a story well, but a second grader might not be able to do that. So for communication, let's say if I have planned story writing for grade 5 and 6, then for grades 2 and 3, I would do something basic, something like sentence formation, right? Which still serves the goal, but it's not as tough as the higher grades. So this is something that I hadn't planned very well, right? I just felt like these 5 skills were the ones that had helped me in school, and these were the ones that could help these students as well, right? So now what we need to do is decide these skills that we want to teach. And also, there is this one thing that we need to keep in mind, that not all institutions will be managed by our schools, right? I mean DGS, they will not be managed by the organization. So we will need to tailor to each and every student's needs. So if we go to any other school out there, any other local municipal school, then those students might not be as comfortable with English. They might not be following the same practices as these students, right? Everything will be different over there, even the environment. So that is something we will still have to work out. And that is what I told Kushi also, that I have started interacting with the heads of other schools. And once they provide me with the details and the permission, then we can start going to those places and we can start teaching. So I'm going to introduce this idea to the current IB students, and also to the students in grades 9 and 10, because they are doing SUPW, and I feel this is something they can also do and join this initiative, right? So I can just show you the log once again. Yeah. So these were all the activities. It's all color coded, right? So for communication, we had done something like Chinese whisper. Now that is something all of us know, right? Yeah. Then emotional charades is, them picking up a chit, reading that, okay, fine, this is angry, this is sad, this is excited, nervous. How do you act out the emotion? Then picture composition, again, picture description. Hi Priyansh, are you able to hear me? Hello? Priyansh, am I audible?
She says yes.
She said that? Okay. So, what I was just telling them, wait, I'll just stop sharing and I'll just let her know what we discussed. So, till now, I have already individually shared it with all of you, but I used to visit this one school, SRT, and that is already managed by TGES. So, these students were very, very well mannered, and the administrative system was working fine. Everything was managed very well, including the hygiene practices, the communication fluency. The students were very, very well mannered, right? Because they already fall under our organization. So the parent organization is already our school. But the schools that we are now planning to visit, those schools are not managed by our institution. So it is going to be a bit difficult to maybe cater to their needs, which we will figure out. And I used to teach four grades, grades 2, 3, 4, 5 initially, and then when they were promoted, it was grades 3, 4, 5, 6. And I used to cover five skills. Now these five skills were not decided out of a premeditated thought. It was just a tried and tested, and it just worked. And I went through it. I just started covering the skills on my own, and I saw this is something that might help them. And that is how I decided these five skills. Again, communication, teamwork, public speaking, imagination, creativity, and entrepreneurship and DIY. These were the skills. Now we will have to decide which skills we are going to cover further. Okay, so I was just showing them the log, which I'll show you. Yeah. Okay, so for each of the skill, I have listed down the activities here. Now the activities changed according to grade level. So for communication, these are the activities that were done with grade 2, right? Chinese whisper, emotional charades is just picking up a chit, reading the emotion and acting it out. Then picture composition is picture description, right? Story completion, where I used to give them a prompt and they used to finish the story. Yeah. So these were the activities for communication skills. And I worked on it for all of these days, 10 days, with all of the grades. Now for teamwork skill, again, if you have certain questions regarding what the activity means and what exactly I did in the activity, just ask me, right? So all three of you, maybe you can just go through this list once. And if you don't understand what the activity is, then just ask me and then we can proceed, right? So let me know if there's something that you have a question about.
Archie,
Yeah, tell me.
Can you wait a second?
yeah, so can you tell me about this common thread? I didn't get that.
Yeah. So now, see, being an IB student myself, I have been introduced to this one learner profile attribute, which is open-minded. And sometimes I try to connect my own attributes, learner profile attributes, with these students. So common thread was an activity where I divided all of the students into groups, okay, and I gave them a sheet. Now there was a worksheet that I gave them. I think I have it. I'll show it to you. And in that worksheet there were different activities written, right? Swimming, dancing, acting, drawing, public speaking, all of that. And I asked the students to figure out in their team what they commonly liked or disliked, right? So this way they communicated with everybody. What is something that you like to do, or what is something you hate? So something like that. They communicated amongst themselves. And let's say if swimming was the activity that all of them liked or all of them excelled in, then they would take over there. And that is how I would know how they have, come to a common decision that okay, this is the activity all of us can do very well. So I'll just show you the worksheet if at all I have it. So that was what common thread is. We can also, common denominator. There is one more name to this activity. So just figuring out what is the one common thing amongst all the team members, right? So that was what the activity was about.
Right, it's interesting. In a way, we just want them to know that there is something like that binds them together, right? In spite of all the diversity.
Yeah, exactly. And let's say there is an
Interesting.
activity that people like on a varying magnitude, right? Let's say I like acting a lot. Somebody else might just be okay with it. They might do it for the sake of doing it. So being open-minded also, just accepting that fine, something that I like may be disliked by somebody else. So a very, very short activity, but that is something I got the idea from ChatGPT, and that is how I conducted that activity. Yeah, still you can just birthday lineup, right? Arranging themselves from the eldest to the youngest in the class. And that was only through actions. You cannot just say that, okay, I'm born on this particular date. There had to be some form of communication. So,
Why
arranging them.
actions? No? Why not speaking verbally though?
Yeah, because now see, there are two types of communication, right? Communication skill was already done. So now I had to test them on that skill. So there is verbal and non-verbal communication. Now there was this challenge that I gave them initially that you're not supposed to communicate verbally. Do it non-verbally entirely. And so let's say I first started the activity and I just told them these are the rules. You're not supposed to utter a single word. You're just supposed to arrange yourself from the youngest to the eldest. Now I wanted to know how exactly they would share their birth date with somebody else, right? So if I'm born on the 6th, right, I can show this action, right? Okay, fine, I'm born on the 6th. But I found that they initially didn't get the idea. And once I showed them that you can communicate through gestures, hand movements, actions, all of that, then they started grasping it. And then I also gave them a time limit that fine, non-verbally, how much time does it take? And they did that. So I just wanted to develop this skill of non-verbal communication. That was the main reason why I told them not to communicate at all verbally.
Right, makes sense.
And collective storytelling was one more activity that I really enjoyed because I still do it in school with the younger children that I teach. So collective storytelling is when, let's say, four of us in the team, and I start narrating a story. So I can say, once upon a time, four words done. Now, maybe Purni can continue from there. Once upon a time, just continue and say four words from there. And then Kushi can continue and say four words. Priyanshi can continue and say four words. So that is how, while saying these four words, you're all forming a story, but you're also developing your communication and teamwork, right? So, being in a team, how do you ensure that it's a good story with all the five elements, right? Exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, resolution, all of these five elements of the story. So, you get a chance to say four words, and now it completely depends on the person next to me, how they want to continue the story. It depends on them. So, that is how collective storytelling was done. And I think poster making and all is very, very common already. Trust walk, again. Now, let's say when you're traveling and you're sitting behind somebody who's riding or who's driving, it's very important the way you give the directions to that person. You cannot just say, you just have to move that way. You need to give very clear directions, right? You need to say, move right or you move left, look for this landmark. So the directions become very important. And so there was a team, and I told them that this particular object is kept at this place, and one of the members is blindfolded, right? So the other members in the team had to guide that one person, right? The one who's blindfolded. That you move straight for 3 footsteps, something like that, and then turn right, and the object will be placed on the floor, so you'll have to bend. So all of these instructions become very important when you're working in a team. So again, teamwork was developed through trust work, where one person is blindfolded and the other person or the other person is being guided, right? Uh, then scavenger hunt is the normal treasure hunt activity that we do, right? Finding out where certain objects are based on clues and how you attend to those clues in a team, right? So teamwork. Now go through this public speaking skill. Now, as all both of you know, we had the students come to the courtyard and present, right? So I feel that was the best way they've developed this skill, because in their school it's only 15 to 20 people, in the audience. So maybe if it's a normal assembly, then 15 to 20 from our class, and maybe the rest from the other classes and a few teachers. So a very, very small audience. So when I brought them to our school, there was an audience of maybe 100, 200 people, right? So, kind of helping them overcome their stage fear and improve their public speaking. That is how I conducted this skill. And in the class also, we went through various stories. We went through, I think, a lot of them. Plays like Cinderella and plays like, there's one play regarding this one, animals as the characters. Then Little Red Hen and Three Little Pigs, all of those things. So in the class also, we had covered these plays, stories, poems, right? Ken Nesbitt poems. So the students who couldn't come to the courtyard and recite, those students were learning in the class itself. So they weren't left out. They were doing and learning this skill in the class. right? That was what essentially the public speaking skill was. Imagination and creativity was the one I had to take the most help in from ChatGPT again, because now see, for grade 3 we did handprint art. Now it's day 31, right? Yeah, let's just show you some pictures then. um yeah, here, see, this is the handprint art. This is just an outline of their palm, and they're creating different objects from it, right? They'll present them at the end. So this one has created a hen, a fish, a cat, an octopus, see, a butterfly. Really proud of them, as a teacher you feel really proud about all of this. Yeah, yeah. So that was essentially what the activity was about. And yeah, now journey into imagination was an activity where I gave them these creative prompts, right? Like, let's say you're developing your own set of rules for your own country. Let's say you have your own country. What would the flag of the country be? How would the country be operated? Would it be democratic? What would the election procedure be? What would be the national animal of your country? Or where would the country be situated? Something like that, making your own country or making your own set of rules. So journey into imagination was about that. Time travel adventure, again, very close to my heart, because I gave them this one scenario that, let's say you are traveling 200 years into the future. What would you see around you? Right now you see laptops and AI and all of that around you. What would the world look like? So one of them made a robot serving in a restaurant, right? So then I also told them 200 years into the past. You don't know, you didn't exist at that time. So what do you think would have the how would the world have looked like 200 years ago? So that was time travel adventure and creating my own country, as I told you. That was imagination creativity for all the grades, and hands-on learning. Now, for the last skill, I was very, very confused about what exactly to do with them, because this skill was conducted right when I was in IB2, and it was a bit very hectic. It was a bit hectic for me to, kind of think about something that would, take a lot of time, plus would be very beneficial to them. So I was thinking of something that can be covered in a short while, yet can be beneficial to them. So one was the waste disposal practices. Somehow I've always wanted them to connect to the global issues, right? So when I used to give them picture composition, there was always a connection with the things that are going on around in the world, right? So I used to give them pictures related to, let's say, a natural calamity. So they develop their critical thinking. How do you face such a natural calamity? Or let's say there's air pollution. There's a picture about air pollution. Fine, you do the normal picture description, but what more than that, right? So along with communication, along with description of a picture, they're also gaining awareness about these things around us, which are global issues, right? So over here in hands-on learning, I wanted them to do something like that would develop a global mindset in them. Now, trash to treasure is best out of waste, right? So I asked them, what is, some kind of waste that you see around you? How is waste divided? How is it segregated? How is it disposed? And how is it that you can reduce the amount of waste that you generate? So I told them, I asked them, what is the object that you can create out of waste newspaper, for example, or waste straws, or waste plastic bottles, or there are clothes that you no longer use. How would you use them? So they created objects that would still serve to them, would still be beneficial. So we focused on the reuse part of the reduce, reuse, recycle thing. And that was what trash to treasure was about. TTT is that trash to treasure. Okay. Startup Stars was about them creating a business of their own in teams, and they prepared something from home using DIY, of course, and waste, best out of waste. And in teams, they decided the cost price, the selling price, the margin, the profit, all of that. And I told them what exactly should be your aim when you are selling things to someone. Do you look at your own profit? Do you look at the harms that you're causing to the environment? Do you look at only your cost price? Do you look at, customer satisfaction? What are you looking at? So I told them how important it is to focus also on saving the environment, conserving the environment, apart from their own profit, right? How it's also important to deal with customers, to ensure that they are satisfied with your product, all of that. That was what Startup Stars was about. And yeah, these two activities that we did for the last skill. And this is how I covered all of the 5 skills here. Again, emphasizing that I never had a plan. I was never organized throughout. But as and when I did these activities, I understood what worked and what didn't. And that is how I continued with the entire program. So now, what is it that we can do with the kids that we teach further? That is what we have to think about. And yesterday, I had sent one message about the questions that we must consider, right? So, here. Yeah, Purni, this is not a normal
This
session.
is this is a class. Can you hear me?
Yeah, of course.
First of all, I know this is coming again, but bro, kudos how organized you are. Like, I know we enter into such internships, and most of the times we just do it for the sake of it. And you have literally put in human efforts. The way you have kept documented it in a minute sense, hats off to you. Secondly, in terms of the question, no, I just realized this like since a few days I am pondering over a lot of aspects that are actually hindering my sense of emotional regulation and stuff. So I just thought it's very important to discuss what success is.
Okay.
A lot of factors we can consider about working on their emotional regulation, because technical skills, no matter how much ever you run from it, you will get it, you have to learn it. But emotional regulation is something which is not a explicit subject, but down the line, even if you get very successful, if you don't know how to regulate your emotions, it will be a downfall. So I just thought that why not this.
Yeah, exactly. And these people who we are looking at, these are people from backgrounds that are not very privileged. Plus, as kids, I have realized that they've been, handed over a lot many responsibilities. Now, there was this one session where I just asked them about their hobbies. Okay, an introductory session on the first day itself of my 2 year internship. The first day, I asked them what their hobbies were. Okay, and I expected something like drawing or singing, dancing to come up, right? Because if I would have asked this in an SNK classroom, that would be the answer, right? Maybe drawing, singing, acting, dancing. But here, 2, 3 girls just mentioned that we like helping our mom, or we like cleaning utensils, or we like washing or drying clothes. Now, first of all, that is not a hobby. That is something that has been given to you as a responsibility, and having such a huge responsibility on your shoulders when you're just 10 years old. That is a huge, huge thing that we must consider as interns over here right now. That is the reason I feel emotional regulation will be really important, because let's say they reach an age where academics also they're not able to manage very well, right? How would you handle your responsibilities at home, and how would you manage your academics together? So I think stress management, emotional regulation will be required. So Kushi, just start noting things down, right? If you can maybe share the screen and note stuff down. I'm using my laptop, so I'll not really be able to write. So if there's somebody who can write on screen, then we can do something like that.
Can we just put it on the chat? So I can do that because I'm using a phone. So screen, I don't think would be possible for me.
Yeah, okay, let's just write it down in the chat. So Purni, just you can just start doing that. Priyanshi also, if you can just write things down in the chat. Okay, what do all of you feel? So that's what I had written, yeah, yesterday. That first of all, skill gap analysis, right? What are the must-have skills? Now we're not talking about, again, we're not talking about somebody who has the resources. We're talking about somebody who is under-resourced. What kind of skills do they need to have? So we need to think about that. After that, yeah, Khushi, yes, tell me.
Yeah, well, I think the first thing which they might, the first issue they might face will probably be language barrier. I mean, being fluent in English. Am I audible?
Yeah, I can hear you. and that being fluent in English is really important, right? I Yeah, that was what Kushi was saying, that fluency will be required. So yeah, Purni, we can continue. Kushi will join again. Yeah, fluency.
So also, I feel like those courses that come up with like how can you use AI in the best way possible. So I feel they also need a masterclass or something about how can they use a chat gpt in the best way possible, because I think once they know that, it would be a great weapon for them. Like the simplest of the thing they can't understand, if they know how to use chat gpt well, they'll probably learn those skills by themselves. They don't have to wait for teachers to explain it, or they don't have to think about going for some expensive workshops.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good
So I
idea.
think we can think about planning a module kind of thing.
मैं अकेली हूँ in the meeting. Yeah, Purni, continue.
Yeah, that's it. That was it.
So, Kushi, Purni was actually saying that we need to create a module where we teach the kids about the efficient and ethical use of AI, which would help them learn certain skills by themselves, right?
Right.
And as a teacher myself, I use AI to design worksheets and plans curriculum for these students. Now, how is it that teachers can use AI, right? I think that is something we can look at in a different perspective, which is the use of AI by teachers. So, this was just an idea that I had for a very long time because, things like Notebook LM, these AI tools are able to create videos, worksheets, quizzes, every single thing. So, now it's very, very easy for us to tailor to everybody's needs, right? So, if there is a student in the class who is lagging behind, then we can create an easy worksheet for them, right? And if there's a student who is performing extraordinarily, we can create a challenging worksheet. And all of this is possible using AI because it's not time consuming at all to generate different worksheets for these students, right? Purni and Khushi, you can just
Also,
switch on your video for a while so
hmm,
that we can just click a screenshot. Click a screenshot. Everybody click a screenshot. ये मैं रखूंगी प्रिजर्व करके. Purni, are you stuck? Is Purni stuck?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. But then it's recording on, so we'll get a few pictures in that sense.
Yeah, fine, chalo. She left. Okay, these
Mm.
things. What else?
Well, at the end of the day, like, students can pen down what, their reflection of the day, like what they learned, or, what they feel about the skills or the things they learned. I think it should be you know, a way to know how much they absorbed in reality, like how much did they take in. That can be a thing at the end of the day.
Right. So,
Other
what
than
is a
that,
skill? Journaling.
well, yeah, kind of reflecting and gratifying can also, you can also add that, like, they are gratifying